Hey there. So today we're chatting with John, who has a 1990 Ferrari Mondial T in Rosso Corso, I think. John, just correct me if I'm wrong on that. Some basics. This Mondial has 56,000 miles on it, give or take. And I'm looking forward to hearing about. Oh, and it's located in Keller, Texas, by the way. John, I'm looking forward to hearing about your ownership experience and a little bit about the car. Why don't we start with how long you've had it?
So Eric, I bought it in August of 21 from an IBM executive in San Diego, and the guy had a 10-car garage, five on each side of his driveway. Had eight cars and then two bays that he did mechanic work on. I figured out real quick he's really just a mechanic that moonlights as an IBM executive
That's
to pay
awesome.
the bills. He was
Wow,
one of these
that's
guys that just,
fantastic. I
yeah, I know,
love it.
he loves cars, and so he his wife was pregnant with twins. They're both in their late. He's in his 50s, she's in her 40s, but she was wanting one of the car bays for a Tesla, the one that opens up like gull wings.
The X. Yep.
Anyway, yeah, the X. And so he said he chose to sell the Mondial because it was the one that was in the best condition to be sold out of all
Awesome.
the cars. He had bought it, I think. Oh gosh, don't hold me to this, but maybe about 10 years earlier from a guy that was the original owner. He was the city comptroller for Palm Springs, California.
Oh, awesome.
And he bought it in 90, drove it for a few years, and then put it on blocks, put it in storage. And the gentleman said it sat there for about 10 years before my guy bought it. I mean, before the second owner bought it.
Right.
So, you got 10 years of seals that are all dry, and bushings, and any rubber that's been in there for 10 years and not being used, all that needed to be replaced. And so he did quite a bit of work on it himself. In fact, he did most of the work himself because he literally liked doing it, and he felt like he could do it better than anybody else. So he was somebody that you want to buy a car from. There's no
Sounds like
question
it.
you want to buy something from a guy like this. So I bought it and shipped it over to Texas in August, and probably drove it until December, January. And he told me a couple things. He said, he said, number one, you're going to need to do an engine out service in the next 2,000 to 3,000 miles. And he said also you're going to probably need to look at new clutch, and I'd go through some of the other cooling elements as well. So he said there was a few things that he would still do. So he gave me heads up on it. So I probably had it 3 or 4 months, and I could tell the clutch just wasn't right. And so I sent it over to Norwood to have
Great job.
the clutch replaced. Yeah, so Norwood, yeah, I found Norwood on, before I bought any classic car. Before I bought any classic car, I have joined different Facebook groups related to that particular classic car.
Yeah.
And so the Ferrari, I'm in a Ferrari 308 club as well. I had one of those for a few years back in the early 2000s. But anyway, everybody recommended these guys at Norwood.
Yes.
They couldn't say enough good things about these fellas, Norwood Italia. So
They have
I
a
had it.
great reputation. For those listening, they have a great reputation and did some absolutely spectacular turbocharged Ferraris back in the day, which is really neat with super high horsepower. So yeah, they've done some really cool stuff over the years.
Yeah, they've been around a long time, and
Yeah.
the guy at Norwood actually sold it to his to two of his top guys
Yes.
there,
Yes.
and so they continue the legacy of excellence. But anyway, so they replaced the clutch, and when those guys do something, they just don't replace the one thing. They did everything that was related to the clutch, and so probably another 2 or 3 months later, something else. I think it was 1 through 4 that little light comes on 1 through 4 or 4 or 5 through 8. 1 through 4 came on, said it was overheating that section of the engine. And so, slow down, that kind of thing. And so I had it towed again over there, and they replaced whatever it was that was related to that. And I think they found a few things with the coolant system and said, we're here, let's just do it. So they redid the majority of the coolant system. And when I say system, I mean the hoses, the pump, that kind of thing. I have records of all this.
Yes.
Generally speaking, I just tell the guys, here's the car. If it gets above $10,000, call me. If not, just do it. Because you these are people they make ownership a delight because you trust them.
Great.
And they've earned that trust in the community. So my experience with this car has just been delightful because of these mechanics. But in October of 23, this is the big one, all the way through January of 24, we did a complete engine out service. And while they were there, they said, hey, you got a small leak in your power steering column. Let's replace that or rebuild it rather. And so anything they could find, they did. And that far exceeded the $10,000 marker. So they were calling me a couple different times saying, well, what do you think? I said, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Let's get it over with. So it is in top performance shape.
That's awesome. I think we have here, John. I think we state that you've probably spent, not to remind you necessarily, but I think 27,000 plus over the last few years alone on the car. So it's
every bit of that.
Really
I've got
shape.
all the receipts for it. So
great, and we have them. By the way, we do have those receipts listed on the site here as well for someone to dive deep if they wanted to.
The only receipts I don't have, I haven't kept up with, is I get it detailed in the spring, I get it detailed in the fall.
Yeah,
and so I haven't kept those, but other than that, even the gas receipts, I have all the gas receipts as well with the mileage written down on them.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then so you've done obviously a lot of work to it. There's some great videos of you driving it on the site as well, and obviously it sounds great. It looks like it drives just absolutely brilliantly. And you've also have detail of the top going up and down and that sort of thing. I think the only thing that I recollect that the car maybe is not of, sort of like whatever, a 10 out of 10 on or 9 out of 10. I don't want to, don't want the concourse folks to dive in here, but I think there's a little bit of a wear spot on the top. Right? I can't remember if that's on the left or right.
Yeah, correct. No, it's on the driver's side. That's correct.
Yep. So anyway, so there's a little wear spot there. For those again listening, there's a video that you can watch and see how big that wear spot is. It's pretty common. It's right at one of the hinge points on the top. And is there anything else, John, that you can think of that the car needs or isn't functioning right or anything like that?
Well, not needs, but there's a couple of little dings here and there, and I've taken it to a few different ding repair people. And, well, I shouldn't say a few, two of them. Two come to mind, and neither one of them wanted to touch it.
Okay.
Said,
okay.
No. They said, we are not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
I see.
And, nobody, when people come over, it's funny. My wife entertains a lot. I hope you caught that. My wife.
Yep.
Entertains quite a bit. But everybody wants to get their picture in the Ferrari. They think the Mercedes is great and the Porsche is great, but everybody wants their picture with the Ferrari. The funny thing is, people don't notice any of that stuff.
No,
it's so tiny and minor. I've had people say, "Is this brand new?
Yeah.
What year is this? 2020 or 2021 or?"
Right.
What?
Yes.
Oh, is this 35 years old?
Yeah.
So no, there are a few dings here and there, but nobody. I have to point them out to you. Right. So that, and then typical with those cars are the windows are slow.
Uh-huh.
So you're going through a drive-through. You need to start rolling the window down while you're in the driveway before you get to the speaker because it's slow as Christmas.
Sure.
But that's my Ferrari 308 was the same way. I think that's just 80s Italian electronics.
I think that's probably right. I think that's probably right.
I mean, it's
that's great.
It is in perfect. It's in perfect shape. The only reason, in fact, we should talk about that. The only reason it's really being sold is, well, it's complicated. There's a couple of reasons. One is there's 4 drivers in my house. My 2 boys have moved back in with me, and we have 8 cars, and this is the only car that people being my wife and my 2 sons don't feel like they can drive. And it's just, I don't know, it bothers me.
Yep.
They don't want to drive. I mean, anybody can hop in anybody's car and go anywhere. I mean, my 2 sons have their own specific cars that are really theirs, but I've driven them before if it's parked in a certain spot in the driveway. But nobody, the other 3, my wife and the 2 boys, just, so that bothers me that they don't want to drive it. And
Yep.
then my wife would really like her garage space back when it's raining outside.
And can I ask one last question
Sure.
before we hang up here? What's one of your best memories in this car?
Oh gosh, there are numerous. That's a good question. I can't go to the gas station and get gas without somebody walking up and starting a conversation over the car, which is delightful. I enjoy people. I enjoy talking. I enjoy good conversations with strangers. And so I had a guy call me once about buying this thing. I said, look, man, if you're an introvert, forget it. Forget it, dude.
That's awesome.
You can't be an introvert and drive this car because people are I'm at the stoplights and people are waving, giving me thumbs up, and it's a real conversation starter. So I couldn't say I have one, Eric. I've got multiple, and it's really every time I drive it. I rarely do I go out, maybe at night when it's dark, but if it's during the day or in the morning, it's a whole trip of thumbs up.
Great.
Man, that's beautiful. What year is that? That kind of thing. So it's fun it's very fun. It's inspirational. Again, when we have these parties, my wife has people come over, and if they bring their teenagers or their kids are in their 20s, they get inspired by it. It is literally
Fantastic.
a work of Italian art, automotive art.
That's great. It is. I've been a huge Mondial fan for a long time. Well, great, John. Thank you so much for taking the time here to chat about your beautiful Mondial. And obviously, folks, if you have any more questions, please let us know, and we'll have John answer those. Thank you so much, John.
Yep. Have a great day.
Check out this vehicle at curatedoverland.com.